Hello and welcome back to the Voices of the Vic podcast. I'm your host, Ben Ayton, and tonight I'm joined by Cameron Smart, Caity Kirkley and Joe Thomas as we discuss another turbulent 24 hours at Watford Football Club. Watford were beaten 2-0 at home by Swansea City, and in the aftermath, Javi Gracia publicly called out Gino Pozzo in yesterday's post-match press conference by saying he was disappointed with the level of the team and wanting to speak about the ambition of everything. Today, we then found out that Javi has resigned as head coach. While the writing may have been on the wall, it still brings an end to a spell that promised plenty, but ultimately left fans frustrated. Tonight, we'll be discussing where it all went wrong, from the cautious football and sticking with his favourites to frustrations in the transfer window and a run of 5 games without a win, despite Watford sitting just 4 points outside the playoffs with a game in hand. We'll also look ahead to the game on Tuesday night away at Hull City with Charlie Daniels, Dan Gosling and Adrian Mariappa taking charge as we ask where the club goes from here with the transfer window closing tomorrow night. So as always, get involved in the chats, share your thoughts, let us know where you stand on Javi Gracia leaving Watford. But yeah, lots to discuss as you hear. But firstly, let's just have a quick run around the team tonight to see how everyone's getting on. I'll come to Cam last because he was a last minute addition. He played it cool all day saying he weren't coming on. Said he was going to go on a rival podcast, and all of a sudden he was in our waiting room. So we'll come to him last. Joe, how are you doing, mate? You all good?
Yes, mate. Absolutely wonderful. It's been another wonderful 24 hours of the circus of Watford FC. Quite an eventful day for us. Obviously dissecting the news that came out. I guess we're all not surprised by I wouldn't say shock resignation, but the resignation of Javi Gracia. Oh, there we go. He's disappeared just like Garcia. and that is Cam Smart sacked.
It's about time.
But yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't really know how. I will probably obviously speak about it more, but I don't really know how I feel about the information at the moment. Still, I'm still kind of on and off the fence of whether I'm happy. Obviously, there's been an interesting article that's come out as well since that kind of says a lot more stuff behind the scenes, which I'm sure you'll mention as well. But yeah, apart from yesterday, I mean, I've got to say, I've not been that angry coming out of football for a very, very long time. That was a tough one to take yesterday. I saw Caity in the first minute of injury time was like, yeah, I'm off. I saw you go down the stairs. You were heading for the exit quickly. But yeah, how about yourself, Ben? You'd have probably had a more eventful 90 minutes down at the dugout by the dugout yesterday with all the fighting and events that were going on after the red card.
Yeah, you know what? The moment Irakunda got sent off, that's when I left. I was like, I'm not watching this anymore. But yeah, it was eventful over there. It was very animated from Javi yesterday, but his body language just said everything for me yesterday. He looked like a defeated man. But yeah, I'm all good, thank you, mate. Went out for a cheeky Sunday roast today, which was very nice. The bill wasn't very nice. It's really expensive. Went to a place in Flaundon, the other end of Bovingdon. Place called Bricklayers Arms. Really nice place.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah, know it. How much was it?
Really nice. About 112 quid for 3 roast dinners, 3 desserts, and me and Kate got a drink each. I was like, bloody hell.
112 quid.
Yeah, so we're going Toby Carvery next week. Try and make it a bit easier. But yeah, other than having no money left for the rest of the month, I'm all good, mate. Caity, how are you doing?
Yeah, whilst you were out there for your roast, I was serving the roasts. I was, at work today, and it was like, this is the thing. Like, I just want to be on my phone to like look at all the stuff about Javi, and like I'm like serving a roast. I'm like getting spam with notifications, like Javi's gone. Whilst I'm trying to go to the tables and act like my whole life isn't just falling apart. Like, yeah, but it's fine. Obviously, yesterday was, like Joe said, it was really disappointing. I mean, I actually didn't leave at halftime. I went to the toilet, but I probably should have left because it was rubbish. But yeah, it was really, really disappointing. And The events that come out today, I'm not shocked. I mean, I am shocked at some point because I saw Adam Jury said that Javi was taking the training, and then an hour later, he's gone. I'm like, oh. So I was under the impression that he had a bit of a wob out, but I thought he would have more time, but obviously we'll go into everything. But yeah, no, I'm all good apart from that.
Good stuff. And Cam, you've came back in. We thought you resigned, but you're back in the room. How are you doing, mate? You did the half marathon today. Was it the Watford one you did?
Yeah, the Watford one. Yeah. Oh my word, that was tough. And sorry if you can't hear me because you will keep freezing on my screen. My signal is not having a good day. But yeah, Watford half. Honestly, tough as it gets. Tougher than watching Watford play against Swansea. Actually, the hills sort of around the golf club and around sort of Chandler's Cross. It is just ridiculous around there. So strong recommend to avoid that one for any runners that are listening, including you, Ben. I know you wanted to do that one, but yeah, stay away, mate. Honestly, not worth it. But yeah, the day certainly got better for me when I finished the run and saw Caity going absolutely crazy in the group chat because she'd seen that Javi'd been Javi'd left the club. And when you guys know, some of the people who listen know, I'm not a big fan of Javi. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that, and yeah, I think it's been a long time coming. But yeah, I'm all good, all good.
Good to hear, and yeah, thanks for the pre-warning of the hills that comes with a Watford half. I can't stand running up hills. Always try to avoid it on whatever run I do. So no, I'll definitely be maybe avoiding that course going forward. So yeah, lunchtime-ish today, I think it was. Watford put out a statement saying that the club is sad and disappointed to confirm the resignation of Javi Gracia as head coach. We retain the belief Javi was the right man to lead the club towards its push for promotion, but Javi felt he no longer had the motivation and was not the right man to continue coaching this exciting group of young players. We respect his decision and accept his wish to leave Vicarage Road with immediate effect. Charlie Daniels, Dan Gosling and Adrian Mariappa will take charge of a team against Hull City on Tuesday night. We remain well placed in the Championship, 4 points off the players with a game in hand with 17 matches remaining. Everybody at the clubs believe wholeheartedly that this is a squad capable of challenging for promotion. We would like to thank Javi and his team for their work during the 2 spells at the club, and we wish him and his family the best, and they will always receive the warmest of welcomes at Watford. Joe, I'll come to you first. What was your initial thoughts when you saw the breaking news at lunchtime today?
Well, mine was a complete opposite to Cam, I'll be honest. I wasn't jumping for joy. Obviously, you know, whether he was the right or wrong man to come in, obviously the fans were excited. It lifted the fans at a time when we were obviously all kind of in a point of disappointment of the club and how they'd gone for Pezzolano and it hadn't worked at all. And it seemed at the time the right appointment. Obviously, as time's gone on, I'll be honest, up till probably the new year, I don't think Javi's felt like that. Is clearly stuff that's gone on over the January transfer window in terms of, like, you know, Javi's probably gone to Gino and guys and said, you know, I want to get so-and-so and these sort of players in. You know, can we get some new signings through the door? Obviously, that's not worked out. So I just think that maybe he obviously hasn't got the belief in the squad which the owners have. And I don't know, on, you know, just for an example, yesterday, Nestoria and Kunda, you know, that's, as I said to Cam when I saw him outside after the game yesterday, that's the second time he's been sent off this season. For us, isn't it? And I think there's got to be a level of what's the word I'm looking for? The trust clearly isn't there for him to be starting games because he clearly loses his head and he's not trusted in situations like that. So yeah, there's clearly a concern for maybe from a manager's point of view. Obviously, the owners have spent the money and they've got the players through the door. Whether they're not being coached right, whether they're not being looked after the right way is another thing. But yeah, overall on the news, like I say, I'll be honest, I'm on the fence. Like, things haven't been great this month. I've been to quite a few games, especially the home games, and they've not been great. Obviously, leaving Portsmouth was tough. Which is a game we shouldn't have been drawing. Millwall, I know they're doing well, but we should be doing better. And yesterday was just downright disgraceful, really, overall. So yeah, I mean, I've not fully listened to yesterday's post-match interview, but he sounded really defeated, didn't he? He sounded really down. Sounded like he was struggling. But yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what was nice is there was some young boys stood outside the players' entrance. I was walking up the road yesterday, and Javi was obviously going to do his press conference, and they were stood at the door. There was people coming out, and these lads, it was quite nice because they were shouting, Javi, please come and see us and stuff. And he came over, and he was still really nice to the fans till the end. So, that was nice to see. But yeah, wish him well for the future. He's obviously, his heart wasn't fully in it this time. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who we get now, isn't it?
Yeah, it could end up being absolutely anyone at this point. It could be Caity. Who knows? But yeah, I'm a bit like you, Joe. I think Cam's opinions on Javi's very strong, and they have been for a while. But I feel like I've maybe got a bit more of attachment to Javi, mate, and I might be reluctant to say it's down to his previous work with the club and how nice of a guy he is. But I think it's clear to see in this second spell that he's had with Watford, which you've just mentioned, Joe, maybe his heart just wasn't really in it. He maybe lost the love for the game or the love for coaching, for Watford. Whatever's happened, it's been quite clear over the last 4 weeks. Adam Drury put out a piece earlier, and it seemed like when Watford had those 4 wins, Javi's families were all over in the country, and he was really happy. It was like he smiley bounced himself. His family went back to Spain after those 4 games, and then obviously Watford's season is tailed off again. And I've never really been one to want managers to get sacked and that. But after yesterday's performance, I quickly went onto Twitter and I said I could not blame a decision where Javi Gracia loses his job, because the performances have been woeful. I felt like he's lost the players a bit. He's unsettled big names in the squad, and it just was only going one way. And with the fixtures approaching now, Caity, we've got tough games coming up. And do you feel if Javi didn't resign, he was going to get sacked anyway? I know Watford have said completely different in their statement, but obviously they're going to play it in a way to make them look better than what it would have done. But do you believe that Javi would have been given the chance to turn it around, or do you think that he was probably walking on thin ice, talking about we're going to Hull on Tuesday, thin ice and that? But yeah.
I mean, the fact that this felt like it's kind of gone from 0 to 100 really quickly makes me think that it is something to do with Javi on a personal level. I guess we'll never know the full story about what's been going on. We obviously had that article from Adam about the club side of the story, and I feel like I'm going off that more because for Javi to resign, it must have been pretty bad, or he must have been at a personally bad level to want to walk out. When I went to the at our place thing, literally Javi had just been hired. They were singing his praise. Duxbury and was saying how I know it's they just put this on, but he was like, Javi's the man. He is Watford through and through. He loves the club. He loves what they're all about. And for me, Javi knows that you're coming into a young squad. Not everyone, you are not walking into 2019 Watford. You're walking into a completely different generation with completely different players. If you didn't feel ready for that, why do it? They obviously have a lot of faith in him, a lot of trust in him. And the vibe I'm getting is that he just kind of gave up and couldn't really be bothered to like coach the players. He wanted players to turn up that were adaptable, ready, and older and more experienced. I think that's why he favoured the older players. I don't know. I think they trusted him. The owners trusted him enough. I think he would have been given more time. But obviously, if he's losing every week, they're not just going to be like, oh, well, because it's Javi, we'll let it happen. You know, our owners, they are a bit trigger happy. But, you know, with Petzolano, it was needed. And Javi walking, you know, this could be needed as well. It's just about how we kind of go on next. But I don't know. It's obvious that he wasn't happy. He obviously wasn't feeling good about the squad, about the job. So I don't know. I do think it sounds like it's been a bit of his heart's not in it. He's not up for it. It's too tough. He thought it would be easy, and it's not. So yeah, it's really disappointing. I was really shocked because I know he'd said all that stuff in the post-match interview, but I was thinking, you know, I doubt they'll sack him, and the likelihood of him walking, I was like, I doubt it. Like, you know, you never hear of managers, especially from Watford, you never hear them just walking away. You'd rather wait till you get sacked and get paid. So obviously Javi was like really done with it. So, you know, it's a shame.
Yeah. Cam, where's your head at with all of this, and what's your thoughts on obviously Javi going?
Yeah, I mean, can't say I'm surprised is the first thing. I do want to talk about that Adam Drury article. Now, I think we have to take all of it with a pinch of salt because ultimately Adam Drury and the Watford Observer, they work with the club. They don't work with Javi Gracia. They've got the club side of things, and the club will they'll want their version of things to be out there. So I'm not saying none of it's true, but I'm not saying I entirely believe what's been said in there. What I do believe, and I've been saying for a long, long time, even since, you know, before we went on that winning run of 4 in a row, I've always said Javi, he just doesn't seem interested. You know, he's not a manager who's trying to get the best out of the younger players. He's not a manager who's trying to improve himself as a coach. And he's ultimately doing the same things every week and not learning from them. And, you know, I don't mean to discredit him, but it seemed like he was putting in very minimal effort. Now, I'll take you back to a few weeks into his return to Watford. He did an interview where he literally said he doesn't expect to be at Watford for long and he wants to retire very soon. Now, what goes through your head? Bear in mind, he wasn't keeping that a secret. What goes through your head to hire a bloke who doesn't want to be at the club for long and wants to retire as soon as possible? That just doesn't make any sense to me. So again, it's another terrible appointment. And I hope we hear from Scott Duxbury soon, because when we reappointed Javi, he was tooting his own horn, saying, oh, look how great I am. You know, I've got Javi Gracia to come back. He took all of the credit for it. And as I expected it would, and as probably some others expected it would, and as it has gone horribly wrong. And yeah, Scott has only got himself to blame for that one. They need to really put their heads together. Barami and Nani and whoever else is involved, they need to put their heads together and say, look, what does this squad need? Who's available? And let's go and get a manager who actually suits what we've got. Let's go and get a manager who, you know, we've put a bit of thought into and can get us promoted or get us in the playoffs. You do not appoint Javi Gracia, a 4-4-2 manager, to, as Jess has just said in the chat, you do not appoint that manager to manage Bar, Irankunda, Marma. You don't appoint him to manage Chakvetadze. It is just an absurd choice to bring him in, and I'm so glad to see the back of him, but I have no faith that they're going to put any kind of process into finding his replacement. It's just, I don't know where to go from here. Now, whoever comes in has an easy job of just putting these players, where they're supposed to be, and we'll look an awful lot better than we did. But I'm just not confident in it at all, and I really think Scott needs to come out and answer for himself, because he'll only come out when things are going well. He toots his own horn when the transfer window goes well. He toots his own horn when Javi gets reappointed, and when things aren't going right, he's nowhere to be seen. And I really, really need that to change. And I can't stress enough that he needs to speak out at the moment and give us some answers.
He was quick to speak out after those 4 wins on the bounce, wasn't he? And then since then, he said absolutely nothing. I'm amazed that he's still got a job at Watford with the poor leadership and direction that he's shown with this football club. It's been poor and it's puzzling, and obviously he's good mates with Gino, and that's why he is still at the club. But any other football club, they would have got rid of him by now. It's really puzzling. And Joe, like Cam says, how can you have faith in the recruitment when they've failed after? They've just failed after every appointment they've made in the head coach position, haven't they? We've got lucky a couple of times, but that might be down to the pool of players that have maybe got the manager's promotion or done well under them. But recruitment-wise, we're let down year after year.
Yeah, I you know what? I don't want to sound like a bore here when I say this, but we've got to, like Cam said, you know, we need answers from the top. You know, they admitted they'd made a mistake in Pezzolano. He came out and he was like, "Oh yeah, Javi Gracia, you know, he's got unfinished business. This is going to be amazing. This is going to be the best thing that's happened to this club. We know the direction, and look where it's got us." I wasn't actually, Cam, aware of that article that you mentioned where he said he wanted to retire. My thoughts on that would be potentially that they thought that he would just maybe get us promoted and then he would leave, and he would leave on a high, and that would be his retirement potentially, and he wouldn't stay beyond that. Who knows? But yeah, it's not worked out, and unfortunately I just don't think it is going to work out for anybody. While these guys are in charge and these guys own our football club, I don't believe we've got any proper direction. You know, what's that? This is going to be manager 20. It's probably going to be manager stint 25, is it? Or 26, but it's going to be like the 23rd manager since they've come in. And, you know, the more we say it, the more it gets balmy. Like I've you know, we're going around in circles. Like the fans actually need to, you know, I'm guilty of this. You know, we looked at the transfers, we all got excited. We all thought it was going to work out. It didn't. We all thought we would have faith in Javi. It's not worked out. But the reality is, as a club, we actually just need to stand up for one another and get answers and get these morons out of our club. Because until they go, this whole cycle of managers coming in and going, this is another season with the third manager. This is another season that we're going to end up mid-table. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. You could get 1,000 people put a comment in this chat tonight. No one is going to make me believe that we're going to make the playoffs. We're not. We've got three really tough away games coming up now, followed by 2 really, really tough home games. And then actually finishing the month, I actually thought we didn't have another game. We've got Bristol City on the 27th. So all in all, we've got 6 really horrible games this month that, yeah, well, actually, you follow that with Wrexham as well, who are in the playoffs. So actually, all the teams that we've got over the next few weeks are in and around the playoffs. And based on what I've seen in the last 4 weeks, I'll be shocked if we get 3 points out of them, to be honest. I mean, look, I'm not saying that with Daniels and Gosling and Mariappa, you know, they might get a tune out the guys and they might get a point, or they might go there and stun us all and get a win. But we've got to be realistic. While these guys are still part of this football club, we're not going to have a stable manager. We're not going to have a stable football club. We're not going to have a team that stays together and we lose a couple of people. I'm going to imagine that this summer, Cam, you'll probably agree with this, that we've been building this squad for a little while. There's going to be some big changes in the summer. it's a do or die season for Watford here. If we don't go up, there's going to be people like Loser, Vata, people like that will probably leave the club, and we will have to rebuild again. And it will be another cycle where we get other managers, we get people that probably need to have a bit of time at the club, and we will just go on this same merry-go-round. And in 5 years, we'll probably still be having the same conversation.
It's frustrating watching the football club being ruined by the people above, who I just think they're a bit deluded. For starters, they've dug their own grave this season by claiming that they wanted to fight for promotion or be up there. That's written down. That's in black and white, and obviously that's given fans expectations then for the rest of the season. I don't know why they've had to come out and said that for starters, and then for them to go out and appoint Javi Gracia when they know with the pool of players that we've got, the wingers that we've got at the club, and Javi Gracia plays inverted wingers. It's just silly. The decision making at the football club is awful. Caity, do you have much hope for the rest of the season now? With what Joe's just said, obviously the next 6 games are increasingly tough. We find ourselves going to Hull on Tuesday, who are really in form. They've signed some players in the last few weeks. They've got players back from injuries as well. It's going to be tough, but do you have much hope that maybe we could turn the season around now if we find a decent head coach?
I mean, somebody said on Twitter, and I don't agree with this, but they were saying that you almost need an Isco man in the job right now, because all you need is you just need somebody to play your best 11 and let the players do the work. You've got the squad. You're just not picking the right team and the right formation and the right tactics. And I don't think that we need an Isco man at all, but you need somebody to just come in and play the best squad. It's the same reason why Petzolano got sacked. You're bringing in Javi. He's also not picking your best players, the best assets that you've tried to keep all summer, all January, all whatever, spent more money to keep them here than sell them, rejected all the offers, and your head coach isn't even picking them to play more than 5 minutes at the end of a game. Like, that's why I don't favour us for the whole game. I think it will be interesting to see what team goes out, unless I don't know if they'll just kind of go full strength and just play everyone. But, you know, I guess you could argue that they're more, you know, Mariappa's bit Watford through and through, but then I don't know. I don't want it to be a case of like, oh, well, Mariappa's going to get the job then, because it feels a bit like Cleverly, but not that Cleverly was a bad appointment, but I'm like, you know, you're just kind of going with the easy option. I think who we get next will really show what the owners think about the rest of the season. You know, they believe the squad's good enough. They believe we're in a good position, but their actions speak louder than their words, because, like you said, you've got in Javi, who doesn't even use wingers, but your best players are the wingers, and you're annoyed that Javi won't use them. You know, you bought him in. He's not going to suddenly change his tactics, his ideas, just to fit what we want him to do. So, yeah, I think we'll just have to see whoever comes in. But for me, if you're serious about promotion, you've got to be bringing in someone who is on the same page as the players, on the same page as the owners about, you know, who they want to be seeing week in, week out. And I think, you know, Javi saying that the young players like Bayer or Kunda, they weren't, you know, taking on the instructions or listening and stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, because you're using them in a formation that doesn't even suit them, or they don't even work for. Like, I wouldn't listen either. So, yeah, I think it will be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I don't know how long it will take them to look for a head coach, and I want them to even look for longer to find the right one and not just go for whoever can come up first or whoever you think is the best. Like, if we get Marty, or literally, God help us, he put Leicester in the ground. He put them in League One. If he comes here, I'm done. Genuinely, I'm done.
Can I just say, I've actually half expected, just as a giggle from the club, is that they'd say that actually we don't want Moussa Sissoko to leave, that he would actually take charge of the team. being the most senior member of the squad, and it actually wouldn't have surprised me one bit if they'd have said that Musa was taking charge of the team until they got a replacement.
Yeah.
But yeah, as it was, it didn't happen. So.
Cam, we saw with Javi Gracia, there was a few things, the concerns under his reign the last few weeks or so. He obviously had his favourites, didn't he? He excluded a lot of players to the bench or outside the matchday squad. But another one from him was he always seemed to play with a handbrake on. He was always too cautious. Does this now give the opportunity to the squad to be able to maybe embrace themselves a little bit more and for more players to get a look in and not being that standard same 11 that's looking to be on the paper each week?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're a manager and you're picking your attackers based on sort of how good they are defensively rather than what they can contribute going forwards, then you're asking to lose, and you're asking to get absolutely nothing out of your talented attacking players. It's honestly, it is just absurd thinking, and now hopefully we can see the shackles off for for Iran Kunda when he gets back from his ban, for Bar, Chakbatadze. They've all been playing with a handbrake on. Every single player in this squad, I cannot think of one except maybe Tom Ince, has been playing way below the level that they're capable of since Javi came in. They're all miles better even under Pezzolano. And Pezzolano, not a good manager, hated him, but it's a fact that he got more out of these guys than Javi got out of them. Even if Javi did pick up more results, Pezzolano was adaptable. He got a lot out of these players. Caben was... let's not forget, Caben was highly rated by our fans when Pezzolano was in charge, and now he's a complete shadow of himself. So, yeah, look, there's definitely an opportunity. I still believe that we can get playoffs. I don't think we will, but I think we can, just because there is so much talent in this squad. It is now that we're not winning every week like we were for those 4 games. People have gone back to saying, oh, this squad isn't any good, so on and so on. And, it is a good squad. Like this, it's undeniably a good squad. And we can absolutely fight for playoffs. And what's interesting I saw is obviously Pierre Duomo was due to be off to some Saudi Arabian second-tier team. And magically, not long after it gets announced that Javi's gone, he suddenly fails to agree personal terms. Now, I wonder if for him and for Nampalys Mendy, I hope that there's a route back for them, because they're players that really can contribute. They're way better than Edo Kayembe, and they shouldn't really be leaving, to be honest. And then you get onto the whole Patrice and foremost Mendy saga. Like, you cannot moan that we've got a big crisis in defence, and you're leaving these 2 guys to train on their own. And what's that based on? Because the club are adamant that foremost can still play a part. They're not going to terminate his loan. So what is the problem? He's clearly not got an attitude problem. He's just not playing. So yeah, hopefully for those guys, there's a route back, and we can finally see foremost Mendy at Vicarage Road for the first time. And yeah, it's just, there's a lot there to work with, and I think it is going to be an attractive job for a lot of managers out there. But yeah, just no faith that we'll do the right thing, unfortunately.
No, but with the defensive performances in the last few games, I wouldn't mind throwing foremost Mendy in at centre back and seeing what he can do, because I think Kevin's been awful the last few games. So I'd rather give him an opportunity and see what he can actually do. And Cam, you mentioned a good point there with obviously Duomo failing to make personal terms, and he was obviously frozen out under Javi, and now maybe he could reunite his Watford career. We've got to think as well. It was mentioned yesterday that Hector Kipiano looks like he was out for a bit of a long time with an injury as well. So we're very short in that middle of the park at the moment, and obviously Eduardo Bove will take a good few weeks, if not a month or two, to get up to speed as well. So good opportunity for Mendy and Duomo to maybe come into the frame again. And Mendy did well yesterday. Like, he always nips at the heels and is always full of energy, isn't he? And he was someone he could maybe have his head held high with his performance yesterday. Sticking with Javi and his favourites, Joe, do you feel like with him constantly playing the same players and reliable ones, like i.e. Tom Ince, he kind of lost the dressing room with some players that was maybe on the bench? I think we've all seen maybe Quadro Bar come off the bench and look a bit disinterested. I think we've seen it with Iracunda on a couple of occasions. Do you think he maybe lost faith of a few of those guys in the dressing room because they weren't getting the game time?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think, I made this point yesterday when we saw the starting 11, that he moaned about not having a full squad and not having the resources there, but he's got players there. He could quite easily have put Tom Ince started him on the bench yesterday and played Quadro Bar from the start. There's no reason why that couldn't happen. There's no reason why Chad Vicazzi couldn't have started. It's not been working with Iracunda with Kurungard up front. So maybe drop him, play Doumbia up top and play Chad Vicazzi behind. Just try something a bit different. We haven't been playing well, so mix things up a little bit. Obviously, we don't know the reason behind Patrice not being in the side, but he moans about not having a right back. But yet then he puts Albert Ames on the bench yesterday, which just looked completely embarrassing to Patrice. Whether he's injured, whether he's just been told to take an extended period of leave and not come back because he doesn't like him. Who knows what's going on there? But that just said to me, it was just embarrassing for him. I don't think he really did too much wrong. I don't really dislike him as a player. I don't think we really saw enough of him as a player to actually make a judgment on him. So, hopefully, with this decision today, there's a way back in for him as well. But I can't help as well, and it'd be good to get your opinion on this, Ben. Because of Javi going today and stuff, like Cam said, take what we read with a pinch of salt from the Watford Observer. But do you think that we've suffered as a club through this transfer window in missing out on people potentially like Harry Amas, if they were actually close to coming back? That's a player that could have been really good in our squad, I think, as a player to either have as a backup or coming in and playing. Do you think that now with only, the window shuts tomorrow, doesn't it? What's that? 11 p.m. tomorrow?
Yep, 7 p.m.
7 p.m. tomorrow. So yeah, do you think we're going to suffer now as a club for the remainder of the season and not getting players in that we potentially want, or do you think it will give us an opportunity to actually use the players that have actually been missing out?
Both. I do feel like we've missed out on potential signings. In the article with Adam Drury from Watford Observer, he mentioned the left back from Udinese was in the country and was close to joining. Jordan Zuma is
Zamora.
Who won the championship with Bournemouth a few years back. So he was in the country. Obviously, the left back at Bournemouth, Sola, was looked at Harry Amas as well. I don't think Harry Amas would have joined Watford. I think he would have wanted more playing time, and that's why he's ended up going to Norwich. And I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Because Adam Drury's been fed information from Watford Football Club, whether or not these players were very close to joining or not, but Watford are trying to push the agenda that, look, these players were offered, but they weren't taken. But there's nothing saying that it was a concrete, like it was 100% a goer. Like they were going to be in a training ground the following day and were going to sign. I think we all have to take it with a pinch of salt, and it's just one side of a story, isn't it? I think there's another side that Harry holds on to that it would probably be quite interesting reading and quite telling. And I can imagine all of us will probably know what he would probably come out with as well, saying that decisions behind the scenes. Like you can see how uncomfortable he sits in these press conferences when he's got Valan Barami next to him, and Valan Barami's like interrupting and taking the questions ahead of Javi Gracia. That just shows that they're taking control, and I imagine they take a lot of control behind the scenes over the head coaches as well. But going into the final day of a transfer window, I do feel like it's an opportunity now to give the rest of the squad an opportunity. I think you have to give the players who have been frozen out a chance to come in. And like Patrice as well, I like the look of him. Like Portsmouth away this season stands out for me. The way he was galloping up and down that right-hand side, he was unbelievable. I thought, wow, what a player he is. And then all of a sudden he was frozen out or playing right midfield under Pezzolano, and then he came off the bench for Javi a couple of times and then never to be seen again. It's a difficult one. Supposedly we're still in the market for a few players. Danny McNamara of Millwall has been linked today, a right back. He's just came back from injury, a long-term injury. I wouldn't mind him. He's a bit of a shithouse. He was the one that got one of the Watford players sent off. Vacuum Bio, wasn't it, in front of the Vicarage Road end a couple of seasons ago? He was holding his face after Vacuum Bio pushed him, and it was up on his chest again. So he's a bit of a shithouse, but he's a fully committed fullback. He's very full-blooded. So I wouldn't say no to him. He would be a good backup for Jeremy Ngakia. But then I said to Cam earlier in the WhatsApp group, hold my hands up. I think Ngakia's been awful since I've given him praise this season. So maybe he could even come in and take Ngakia's spot. So I think we're still in the market. We're going to bring in that Georgian centre half from Udinese that Javi said no at the start of the window. And maybe, look, if we got him in at the start of the season, the defence could have improved. Because since then, Matty Pollock's been out injured, and we've missed him like a whole massively. Playing in a back four without Matty Pollock, you're just inviting pressure on all the time. Like the set pieces into a box yesterday, we just didn't look like we could defend them. And yes, I'm massively frustrated with this transfer window. And Caity, you must be frustrated as well, because it's the same story every January transfer window at Watford Football Club. You see rivals making good signings, linked with players. They bring in good quality players. They even bring in championship experience sometimes. Well, Watford just tick along. See an opportunity to bring in a player that they can spend, make a lot of money out of in the end, which we've probably seen with Eduardo Bove. It's just, how do you get excited with Watford in a January transfer window?
I think it's like what you said. I mean, from that article, like, we have to take everything with a pinch of salt, and we'll never know if those players were ready to sign and Javi said no, or if he did say no. I mean, if at the end of the day, he was worried about the depth of the squad, but there is a depth of squad, but they're just players that you don't prefer or you don't like or you don't think are good enough, where, we've seen them. We all think they're good enough. I mean, we don't know what Javi sees, but that was obviously like a really big thing for him. If he has been offered the people that were listed on that thing, I don't know why you would say no. At the end of the day, it's bodies in the door, and that's kind of what he was complaining that we didn't have enough of. Saying we've got injuries and you're worried about this and that. Like, why wouldn't you say yes then if they're going to get you a player? I think as well, like with the window closing tomorrow, I really doubt there's going to be much movement. The club isn't in an attractive position at the moment. Your manager's just walked, so he's resigned. He's not even been sacked. You've got no manager. You've got a pretty set in stone squad at the moment, but who knows? The next manager could come in and completely change up the starting 11. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm picking a club. Like, I don't know if I'm looking at Watford and thinking like, ooh, like, I can't wait to go there. Like, for me, I don't know. I feel like this has come at a really poor time for us. I mean, I'm hoping we can get a few more people in. But again, like you said, like, I would be happy to see Duomo back in that squad, Patrice back in that squad. Who else who's been frozen out? Both the Mendys. I would like to see them in the squad. So, when Rami was saying, well, we've got too many players that they need to leave. But Javi's been saying for weeks, we haven't got enough. But I'm like, but how can you not have enough? They're all there. You just don't pick them. So I don't know. I would like to see them use the players that are there now, because I do think we've got some talent. But if we can get anyone else in, I think we'll get that Indonesia guy. But I don't know if we'll get anyone else other than that.
Cam, do you think Watford are an attractive proposition for players and head coaches in the position that we find?
Head coaches, I'd say so. From a cynical point of view, you come and do a few months' work and you get a big payoff. That's attractive, and it doesn't tarnish your reputation because it's Watford. But on a more serious note, this is a really good squad. We're 4 points off the playoffs, and you've got players there that are just far too good to be in this league. You've also, you've got loser Iran Kundapar, Chapatadze. You've got, a solid defense despite the form that they're in. They are solid players. A good goalkeeper, a few good squad players in there, and you've also got Eduardo Bove to come in, and that. The prospect of having these players in the Championship, I think that should be attractive to any manager that isn't going to just play Tom Ince instead anyway. But it's definitely attractive for managers at the moment. But for players, it's a bit tougher to say. Obviously, there's so much turmoil. I mean, poor Stephen Mfuni's come in, 2 days ago? He's already on to his second manager, and he's not even old enough to buy a pint yet. So I do feel for him, and I wonder if Man City are having some regrets maybe. But it's a tough situation to be in. Who would want to sort of join a club like this when we're in this state? I don't know, but there's going to be options out there, and I don't think it's been the horrendous window that everyone says it is. I don't think we've really weakened the squad that much besides losing Elaine. From a point of view of Javi keeping his job, we would have sort of, if we let Mendy and Doimo go, well, they're players that aren't playing anyway, so that doesn't really weaken us. And I would have loved to see a ready-to-go midfielder come in, but what's the point if Javi's got his three in loser, Cipriano and Kayembe that he's going to use, and no one else is going to get in over them. So I feel for the club from that perspective, where the manager's got all these players he's not using, and then he's moaning, and then if it's true that we could have got Jordan Zamora, who is a left back with Championship experience. He's at a good age. He's won promotion in his career in this league already, and he's a good player. If you're rejecting that kind of player, then how can you sign anyone for this guy and have any hope that he's going to get anything out of them? It's almost like a pointless task, really. But now that he's gone, I feel like they are going to scramble to get a few of the ones in that they wanted. We might even see Zamora. I doubt we'll see McNamara come in. I don't think Millwall would let him go to another playoff contender. I think Giglachidze will sign for us, and I think we'll get a fullback. And I would like a midfielder, but I don't think it's likely. So, yeah.
If Womo takes that midfielder spot, I feel like I would love to see him back and in the
yeah,
squad.
But again, he's an unknown quantity, and he's not played football for a while, so it's hard to say how ready he is for that. But and with Cipriano out for a while as well, I don't want to just be relying on Loser and Kayembe, especially with Loser. He's mummified at the moment with all those bandages, so I don't know how much we can rely on him, and we definitely can't rely on Kayembe. So I would like to see someone in just to bolster that until Bove is ready to go.
made me laugh with Loser yesterday. Like they had all of half time to like strap him up, and they waited for him to come back out with the rest of the team
Yeah.
about to kick off, and he ran over to the side to strap him up. It's like you just had 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you want to see out of the transfer window tomorrow? What positions do you think we need? Uncle Ron's pops in a comment here saying that desperately need a striker. Luka Kierkegaard has the body size, but is scared to put it where it hurts, sadly. And I think that's a good observation. Like you wouldn't see Heider Helgeson, for example, like not putting his head where it hurts, and he's half a side of Kierkegaard. So I personally would like to see an experienced striker coming through to help out the three youngsters we got up there. But what do you want to see? Even if you don't think it's going to happen, but what would you like to see happen?
Well, what I'd like to see is what Cam said. I think we need an experienced midfielder. I think we need a Ben Watson type of player to come in, just shore things up a little bit and just give us that little bit of experience. Yeah, I agree with you. I think a striker is desperately needed. I just don't think what we've got is good enough. So yeah, striker and centre midfielder I think are a must. But what I think is going to happen is I just think we'll get the Udinese centre half coming. Did you say his name's Giglachidze?
Yeah,
yeah, is that how you pronounce it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least we got that pronunciation.
I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's what I'm going with.
Dave too.
When he's banger on his debut, we can just call him Sabasele.
But no, on top of that, yeah, him and Zamora, I think they'll be the two that come in simply because they've got the Udinese links, and I think they'll be easy to get through the door, and it's a couple of bodies. I don't think there's really enough time to go out and convince somebody of any decent experience and quality to come through the door when there's not a manager like that can do any sort of convincing. You know, you'd expect a player to turn up at a training ground, be wooed through the door, and like a manager going, "This is what I want," and a player going, "I want to join this club because this manager's told me this. This is the ambition, and it fits what I want." They've not got that, and I don't think that, you know, someone like Scott Duxbury being there to greet someone and all the shit he spouts out is going to convince anyone of any quality to join. So yeah, sorry if you're listening, Scott, but yeah, I think your time's up, pal.
You know, one thing I'm going to miss tomorrow, we've seen in the last 2 or 3 transfer windows, a last-ditch attempt to sign Hector Cipriano from Peterborough United. We won't have to worry about that this year. Caity, we obviously go to Hull City on Tuesday night. It could be a completely different team. It could be a different approach. Could be a different system. What do you want to see out of this Watford team that's travelling up to Hull?
I just want to see like a bit of fight. Like it feels like in the last 4 games, I know things haven't been great, but you also have to look at the players and you have to give them at least some kind of criticism and say that nobody has been playing at their best. You know, even with Petzolano, at least you knew Loser was going to save his job for another week when he would just... It literally felt like they would go on the pitch and just do their own thing. It was like the one-man Loser show. And I just feel like even this time round, it hasn't felt like that. Like everyone looks deflated. Everyone is tired. Everyone is knackered. They look lost on the pitch. There's no game plan. It feels like there's nothing going on there. So for me, I want to see a bit more like, I don't know, like, I guess commitment. I want to see a bit more energy. I don't know how the players will take this. I don't know if they'll be like happy that Javi's gone. I do think it's going to be a really interesting game. And it'll be interesting to see what Gosling and them lot put out. I don't think it's going to be a crazy change. We just might. I think that, like Mike said, probably a change of formation, whatever they think suits that group of players best. So probably hopefully that 4-3-3. That's what I would like to see. But yeah, I mean, I think if we can go and get anything away at Hull in the form that they're in, that's good for me. Like, I'll take anything. But it would be nice to get a win or at least something from it because, you know, if you're serious about playoffs, every game counts.
one thing I want to see is just this Watford team without the handbrakes on. We've got abundance of pace. Let's see it. Let's take the game to Hull City. Let's not just go up there and defend and try and stay in the game till the second half, which we've seen under Javi Gracia. Let's go and attack teams. Let's go and show for the rest of the Championship the talented players that we've got in this squad that could maybe win us games and drive us up the table. Cam, what are you wanting out of the game on Tuesday? What are you wanting to see?
Well, look, it's a free hit, really, and and who could have imagined, when I was standing there in those stands at Hull, hits 3 o'clock and there's no game being played, and who could have imagined how different things would actually be when that game does eventually get going? Because honestly, I don't know if we're better or worse off because of the postponement, given that, we've lost all our form. We've lost the manager. We've lost Max Elaine. But Musa Sissoko was going to be starting that day. And to be honest, I think we're way better off now. So, yeah, with the 3 guys in the dugout, free hit for them. Can't expect too much with all due respect to them. I hope they do well, because they're all, Gosling and Mariappa, 2 likeable guys that, have done good things for Watford as players. And Charlie Daniels seems like a really bright coach and potentially has a future in senior management. But I just don't know if, it's obviously too soon for them, but I don't know if they're going to, stick to what's been happening, not upset the apple cart too much, or if they're going to go for it. I have some faith, because they've been around the club for quite a while between the lot of them. They know these players quite well, and they know what these players are good at. And hopefully they know sort of what this squad needs to get it going. So my fingers are crossed that maybe they'll put out a good team. They'll put the players in their positions, but it's tough to call. I think Tom Ince will start, and that'll be me checked out, really.
And Joe, finally, what about yourself for Hull on Tuesday?
Like it's been said, it's a free hit for those 3. It's a brilliant opportunity for them to kind of showcase, where they want to go as coaches. And obviously we know they're not going to get the job long term, is just obviously in just to see us through till someone comes in permanently. But whether it be 1, 2 games, be interesting to see what they do. But you know what, I'm not going to judge them in the slightest if they're in for the next 2, 3 games because the club aren't rushing and we lose the 3 games. So be it. There's going to be no ill feeling directed towards them. They've been chucked into a situation that they probably, like I said, it's an opportunity and they'll probably embrace it, but it's an opportunity they would probably rather not be in, especially with the position kind of we're in at the moment. It's probably quite daunting. We're trying to go for a promotion and we've got 3 people that are very inexperienced really in this position now, trying to kind of ensure that we get some points or whatever points we can over the next few games to try and keep that promotion push alive still. So yeah, you know what, I will back them until the announcement is made of a new manager. But yeah, God help these owners if this manager that comes in is the wrong one, because I'm telling you now, if it's someone that really is uninspiring and just hasn't really done anything anywhere, then I do really feel like these fans are going to turn very quickly. Like I don't think it's going to be a case of seeing how they do before we make judgment. I think judgment's going to be made as soon as the announcement's made on this one, I think.
I do feel like obviously Maps, Daniels and Gosling have got the gig for Tuesday night, but I don't think it's going to be one of those things where they get it till the end of the season. If Gino is saying that he wants promotion, like we've all said here, he'll want an experienced head coach of some sorts to try and have that promotion charge at the helm, I don't think he would give it to them till the end of the season. Whereas we was in a different situation under Clevs when he took over as an interim boss. We weren't really in the picture for the playoffs too much then when he came in, and I think it was later on in the season when he came in as well. So I do think an experienced head coach will come in. Just before we wrap it up, I'm going to come to all three of you to think. You can give me maybe a name of who you want or who you don't want as Watford head coach. I will go to Caity first, throw her under the bus. Who would you want or who don't you want as Watford next head coach? Yeah, let's do both. I want a who you want and who you don't want from everyone.
Okay, so I definitely don't want Marty. And I saw that Will Steele was in the mix as well. I don't really want him either. He didn't really do very well. You know what I was thinking about today? And it's only because my boyfriend Tom, who's a Leicester fan, was talking about it. Guys, what if we got Enzo? What if Enzo came back to the Championship? He was ready. He was like, fuck Leicester, I'm coming to Watford. That's where he should be. Because I heard that Leicester was apparently back in talks with him. I would take him. I would. If he was coming, I would take him. But I don't think he would come back to the Championship anymore. But I don't know. There's nobody who I can think of right now that I'm like, yeah, that's who I would want. I feel like everyone who's out of management now has just been like proper failed at their job. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't really want Will Steele. I don't want Marty at all. And that feels like the most likely one, but yeah, who knows?
Okay, I'll go next. I don't want Nathan Jones. I've seen him on the bookie shortlist. I don't want him. I would go for the former Blackburn Rovers manager, John Dole Thomason. Yes. I think he plays exciting football. He's managed in the Championship before. I don't think he's in a job at the moment, so I would go for him. Cam, what about yourself?
Yeah, I like that Thomason pick. I was tempted to say him. I've got two unrealistic shouts. I'd go for very unrealistic Brian Barry Murphy from Cardiff and Michael Scabala from Lincoln. They're both doing great jobs there, good adaptable managers. Never in a million years would it happen, which is a shame. But I do not want Quique Sanchez Flores Part 3. I know they're tempted. But yeah, please no.
Already been on the phone.
Caity, I do not want Enzo Maresca.
Why?
I get that, he's managed Chelsea. That's great, sure. But it's the same problem. He's not an adaptable manager. At Leicester, it was the most boring football ever. They would just pass teams to death, and that's not what we should be. And yeah, it just relies on a massive, massive talent advantage, and yeah, it just wouldn't work. Those two guys I don't want. More realistically, I would not mind Will Steele. I think he's got good pedigree about him. He's done well out in France. I think the Southampton job was a bit of a poison chalice. They had just come off the back of a horrible, horrible season, and they're not really doing any better now that Steele's been sacked. And I think it's only a matter of time before he gets another chance in English football. So let's get agent Emma Saunders to hopefully bring him to Watford.
I think that's the only reason I would appoint Will Steele is just to bring Emma Saunders back to Vicarage Road. No, I think he's a good head coach. I think, yeah, like you say, it was a bit toxic in going into Southampton, and you've seen since they've been struggling a lot. Their attendance has gone down as well. They hate their ownership as well. They've been protesting as well. So I think he was set up to fail a little bit there. Joe, what about yourself?
I really don't want Marty Cifuentes. That would be, as I said before we came on, I don't really care of my love for the football club. I would do the games that I've booked to go and see this month, and I would not attend another game this season because I would believe that the owners have got no real ambition of us going up, appointing him. So that would be the worst appointment. I think that would probably go down in one of the top 3 worst appointments that they've done since they took over. I think that one.
Tomorrow morning, it's going to be him. 9 a.m. Welcome, Marty.
It really doesn't want to be. Who do I want? Yeah, you know what? Just for Emma Saunders coming back to Watford, yeah, get Will Steele back through the door. I don't really care. I mean, she was wonderful, wasn't she? Had a lot of love for Emma when she was at the club. Yeah, I actually believe it probably. I think there is a high possibility it would be Will Steele. I think it is an opportunity for him with the squad that we've got to showcase what he can do. He plays from some of the games. Obviously I didn't see a lot, but I saw a couple. He plays some exciting football over in France when he was there. I don't really think it didn't seem the right fit for him at Southampton. I don't think it was necessarily his fault what he got thrown into there. But yeah, it's a chance for him to put himself forward in English football and get a name for himself and potentially take us up. Potentially, I say that again, take that with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think it will be him. I think we're going to see some guy from some random. Do you know what? I actually, for some reason, I've got this in my head that it could be Victor Pereira. Is that the right guy?
The Wolves manager, Victor
the
Pereira.
guy was at Wolves.
Yeah. Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's. I don't know why I've got this funny feeling it could be him. I was looking at the list of managers and his name, and I thought,
what about Russell Martin?
No.
Yeah,
I wouldn't like him.
No,
I'll give you a name as well. He's recently sat. His number 2's a Watford legend, Ryan Mason, bringing Nigel Gibbs with him.
Not a chance.
No,
I'd
not a chance.
just have Nigel Gibbs.
Just give it to Gibbs.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there's a big pool of managers out there, isn't there? And like Cam said earlier, it's still an attractive proposition, Watford Football Club. You're on the cusp of a playoffs. You've got a talented squad. Yes, you could potentially have a big payout in a few months' time, but you also could go down in Watford history of being that manager who broke the continuous cycle of managers being sacked and failing and falling on your face. You could be that man who turned it around and got the team promoted back into a Premier League and built on something. So it's a big gamble, but yeah, be an interesting week or so. What are we all saying? Are we saying that there'll be a manager in charge for the Southampton game all weekend?
I think that's what the club will look to do.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll want it. I don't think they'll want it dragging on. There is a potential, I think, just so it's not fully rushed. Obviously, we've got a week between Southampton and Preston. I think it's more likely that we see a manager come in at the beginning of next week. Maybe they'll give these guys the 2 games and then get someone else in. But who knows with these guys? You know, it could be that they're talking to someone now and they're sat in the Grove having a nice Sunday roast and a bit of papers being signed as we speak. So who knows?
Who knows? It's potentially caught the Pozzos off guard, because normally when there's a change of manager, they've got someone lined up and you know about it within the day. Now, a manager's walked, which I applaud Javi Gracia for doing. He's actually gone up in my estimation for actually making that decision to walk and to call out Gino Pozzo, but also he's gone down a little bit in my estimation with his heart not really being in the job. It's a difficult one. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining tonight. I really do appreciate it. That's going to be it for tonight's episode of The Voice of the Vic. Massive thank you to everyone who's got involved in the live chats, sent messages in and shared their views, especially on a night like these where opinions are understandably split. We do really appreciate you taking the time to join us. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you subscribe to our channel, give the video a like and leave us a comment with your thoughts on Javi Gracia's exit and where Watford go from here next. It'll be interesting to know your thoughts on who you think should be the next Watford head coach as well. See if it could be any others than Will Steele, John Dale Thomason, or Enzo that's been mentioned by us for tonight. We do read out all your comments, and it really does support the podcast, so please keep them coming. We'll be back very soon with more Voices of Vic. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Come on, you Warns.